Hey, good afternoon. Hello. My name is Carla Metzdorf, and I am a certified health and life coach that works with moms to overcome anxiety. And I'm also admin to this group, Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough. I don't even know what I just said. I am a certified health and life coach that works with moms to overcome anxiety, and I am admin to the group Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough. I don't even know if I said that right. So welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. I don't usually wear my glasses. I'm having an eye infection, so I got my glasses on, and my eye is a little funky. It's a little red, but if you could just overlook that and just listen to what I've got to say, because we're going to talk about why overcoming anxiety is not having anxiety. Because a lot of times you think, well, I know when I'm going to overcome anxiety because I'll just never have anxiety. But that's not what overcoming means. So I just wanted to come on and get really clear as to what it means to really overcome anxiety. What does that entail? How will you know, right? So as you come on, say hi. And so let me give a definition of what does overcoming mean. And I'm sorry if I'm a little dark to anybody, but when I put my light on, it reflects into my glasses. I usually don't have that problem. So if I'm a little bit dark in this video, that's why I'm not using my light today. But my eyes are a little red. I don't have pink eye. I'm not sure where this came from because I don't really wear makeup so much or anything, but okay. So what does it mean to overcome anxiety? Okay, when I say work with me, you're going to overcome anxiety, I don't mean that you'll never have anxiety ever again. You see, anxiety in and of itself and foremost is an emotion, okay? That's the first thing it is. It's an emotion, like anger, like sadness. It's an emotion, right? But what happens is sometimes your emotions can get the best of you, right? They start to take over your life, especially anxiety, okay? So when that happens, we say we have an anxiety disorder, okay? Because anxiety has just taken over our minds, our thoughts, how we feel, our behaviors. And because we have anxiety, we start having avoidance behaviors and we stop being who we usually are. We're not acting normal anymore, right? Does that make sense, ladies? Anybody want to add to that? Want to add to this definition of overcoming anxiety, of what anxiety is? So when I say to overcome, I'm not saying you're never going to feel the emotion again. What I'm saying is you have power over it now. Instead of it having power on you, you have overcome, because if and when you do feel anxious, ever, just like any other emotion, you let it pass. You treat it like any other emotion. I feel the feelings, it passes, and I go on with my life. It doesn't have that grip on you anymore. So is this all making sense, ladies? Let me see if I can see you in the group, because I don't see myself in the group right now. Oh, there I am. Okay, great. Makes sense. Can be in perimenopausal increased anxiety? Absolutely. I have a live training all about hormones. Catch that on my YouTube channel. But hi, Abby. Yes. So that is what overcome means. To overcome anxiety, basically, it means that it doesn't have a grip on you anymore. Like you're not afraid of it. It's an emotion that you're feeling. You let it be, and it passes. It doesn't have a say anymore in your life. So, So what tells you that you're making progress? Okay, because you've had anxiety for a while. You're learning what anxiety is, why you're experiencing it, and you're cruising along, and you start having these good days and these bad days. And you think, gosh, I mean, like, why am I having this good day? And the next thing I know, the anxiety's back. It keeps coming back. So what the heck? Like, when am I gonna see it going away? When is this ever gonna go away? When am I gonna overcome this? So, ladies, what tells you that you're making progress is you are gonna start seeing more good days. Because when you're in the depths of having anxiety, chances are you're not seeing a hell of a lot of good days, right? Every day is a challenge. Every day you wake up, you're anxious, you go through the day anxious, you can't wait to get to bed for a new day, but even maybe getting into bed and sleeping is a challenge. So every day is a challenge for you with anxiety, okay? But when you start taking back control, okay, when you start using tools and strategies, all right, you start understanding what anxiety is and why you're experiencing it, that you can start overcoming it, all right, you're going to start seeing some change. You're going to have some good days. But that will tell you that change is starting. I'm not saying you're over it, but change is starting, okay? Because now something's different than yesterday. But if it was a positive different, you're making progress, okay? So if the thoughts, those intrusive thoughts, are not, bombarding your mind as much, or the feelings of anxiety are not so much, you're not feeling so much the heart racing, or, your chest tightening, or your stomach isn't as upset as it normally is, maybe you're making progress. And don't discount any progress you make. None at all. Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll say, well, yesterday was a pretty good day, but you know what? I woke up anxious today, so there goes that. That means nothing. Don't do that. Don't discount anything. Just because you had a good day and maybe the next day you felt a little bit more of the anxiety, okay? Still recognize that good day. Because what that means is if you could have one good day, what's true is that you could have 2 good days, and so forth and so forth and so forth. As you get consistent with what you do, okay, you persevere, you keep going, you keep doing, you keep being that new version of yourself. You make changes, you're going to have more and more and more and more of those good days, right? So as you feel decrease in the symptoms and the thoughts, right? And as you feel more of, let's say, the normal, right? Because you're all like, I just want to be normal again. I just want to be normal again, right? But I mean, the goal is really not to go back to who you are, but is to be a better version of who you are. But when you feel like, oh wow, I really feel more confident today, right? I feel, like maybe you have a safe person, and maybe today you don't feel the need to call that safe person or be with that safe person. You're feeling a little bit better, right? Or maybe you slept a little bit better, Or maybe you're not someone who goes out of your house much or gets in the car, but now it's like, I think I'm going to leave the house today. Or maybe I'm going to get in that car today, and instead of driving 1 block, I'll drive 2 blocks. Like, your confidence is growing. This is all progress, ladies. And when you feel this progress, don't discount it. Let it be. Just go with it. And if the next day comes and there's just a tiny bit of anxiety, don't be like, oh, there you go. It just keeps coming back, so that was a false alarm. No, it's not a false alarm. It's never a false alarm, okay? That's not what that is, okay? So what does happen to the brain, okay? What is going on in your brain as you make progress, right? So we know the brain, you know what, before I go on, let me just update here because I don't see any changes. I don't see any more. Okay. So as you come on, ladies, say hi. We're talking about why overcoming anxiety is not having anxiety. There's so much more to overcoming anxiety. Okay? And if you're telling yourself, I haven't overcome anxiety until I feel absolutely no anxiety at all and I'm back to my normal self, you're going to be waiting a while, okay? So I just gave a definition of what overcoming means. We just talked about what it means to make progress. And what I'm about to do is I want to explain to you what happens in the brain, okay? As you are making progress. See, we program our brains. All our brains are programmed over time, from the time you were a little girl to right now, to who you are right now. You have programmed your brain that you have a certain mindset, right? You have beliefs, right? You have thoughts. You think in a way that maybe nobody else thinks, okay? You have a certain attitude. You have certain expectations and assumptions you make, right? So these things follow you from the time that you're a little girl. Unless you do something to reprogram and change, okay, any of that, your beliefs and your thoughts and your attitude, unless you do anything to make a change, you kind of stay there, right? So those patterns you form from the time you're a little girl will stay in your mind. Now, but what happens is, as you're working to overcome anxiety, right? The brain, as long as you're consistent, because if you do something Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, you don't do anything, Wednesday, all right, then you don't do anything Thursday, Friday. When you're looking to make a change, you need to be consistent in what you do. You don't just try to be different on Monday and then say, well, I didn't have time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I'll try again on Friday. Or you have to be consistent. The brain, okay, in order to change a pattern, to break a pattern, you have to form a new pattern, like a habit. You want to break a habit, you need to be consistent in what you do. All that making sense, ladies? Can you give me a 1 if that makes perfect sense to you and you understand what I'm talking about? And the thing is, the brain needs at least 20 days of consistent work to even go, oh, she's making a change. If you just do it every other day, it's not going to get it, okay? It just knows that you're doing something here and there or whatever. But if you do something, okay, consistently for 20 days, your brain starts going, oh, okay, she's doing something different. Well, let's see where this goes. But what happens is, okay, you might start experiencing these things called setbacks. Thank you, Abby, for the 1. A setback, okay? A setback is as you make progress, as you start seeing some change, the brain's going to start fighting you. Because even though, okay, it's like, well, she's doing something different, it's not sure that you're safe. So what I mean by that is, the brain's whole job is to help you to survive, right? So when you make change, even though it's a positive thing, all right, you for many years were a certain way. So it doesn't understand that this new thing that you're doing is going to be so much better. And depending on who you're being as you're making change, in other words, are you being positive about the change? Because every change, right, the brain is taking, is she safe? Is she safe? And if it doesn't think you're safe, it's going to send out stress chemicals. And anytime you feel a stress chemical in your body, guess what you do? You go, why is my heart, I was feeling good. Why is my heart pumping? Why is my stomach turning right now? Or why do I feel constricted? Why am I having a hard time breathing? Or why do I feel dizzy? Why do I feel like I'm going to faint? Why? Some of those behaviors, okay, that you had being anxious might still show up. And the brain, what the brain is going to do, the brain is going to go to what is familiar. So if you always responded, or should I say reacted with anxiety, that's what you're going to get, right? Until the brain gets it, okay, that this is a change, a permanent change, it's going to fight you. Brain doesn't like change because change can mean a challenge, which is uncomfortable, okay? It's change, it's challenge. You're uncomfortable. So it's going to keep fighting you, but you have to keep pushing back and going, no, we're okay. We're okay. But you got to be consistent. I didn't mean that you fight. You don't fight. Fighting just means I don't like what I'm feeling and this really sucks, and you keep giving the brain reason for thinking that this change that you're doing is not a positive change. You have to keep letting the brain know, yeah, it's a change, no worries though, it's a safe change. We're going to be better than who we were. So let's go to, let's say, cigarettes, right? Let's say you're a smoker. This is a habit now. I have been smoking 20, 30 years because that's how I deal with stress. I'm stressed out, I go out and I have a smoke, right? And when I'm really stressed, I might have even more cigarettes. But I know they're not good for me, but I still do it because see what happens in your brain, right? When we reach for cigarettes, alcohol, or even food, drugs, or anything, maybe when we're stressed, what we'll do is we'll get on our phone, right? We start scrolling through Netflix through the phone, through Facebook or Instagram, or it becomes a habit and the brain picks that up. When she's stressed, this is what she does. She'll smoke, she'll eat, she'll scroll through her phone. She sits on the couch and watches hours worth of Netflix or what's another streaming service? I always say Netflix, but Hulu. So the brain you get a dopamine hit, right? Dopamine gets that's the feel good, a neurotransmitter that you get. It's a reward, right? That's the reward, okay? So that's why when you're, let's say, anxious, and then you have avoidance behavior, right? I don't leave my house, I don't get in the car. What is the reward for not leaving your house or getting in your car? Well, the reward could be I don't have to feel those feelings. Because when I get in my car, I have a panic attack. I don't drive anymore. I don't have to feel those feelings. So now, right, you are conditioning your mind that there is a reward for not doing. You keep avoiding, right? And in the moment, it feels good. It's like, yes, I didn't leave my house. I didn't go driving. I didn't go in that store again. I didn't get out of my bed. And you think that is what's going to keep you safe. That's what's going to keep you from feeling those anxious feelings. And it feels good in the moment. But that's what ultimately makes things worse. But the brain is going to keep fighting you. But for you to take action and be consistent with a new habit, that old habit will die off. So in other words, if you want to feel safe from anxiety, what do you have to do to feel safe from anxiety? Now, my answer to that has always been that the reason why you feel unsafe with anxiety is because you don't understand the anxiety. Because anxiety is just an emotion. So that's why I keep telling you, if you learn what anxiety is and why you're struggling with it, that's why I always talk about the brain, okay? If you can understand this connection, you can talk to yourself in a different way. Because when you have a setback, right, now you understand, hey, I made progress. So instead of a setback being a bad thing, it's a good thing because that meant, first of all, you made progress. And second of all, you could go, that's just my brain resisting change. That's all it is. But if I stay consistent, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to see more change. Boom, right there, right? In order to get a new habit to see change, right? 20 days, the brain goes, aha. Then it starts fighting you. But if you remain consistent, and you do the same thing over and over, it takes, now we're all different, right? And I've seen different things what science says. Science says it could take anywhere from 60 days plus, meaning 60 to about 100 and whatever days, for the brain to finally rewire, for the brain to finally go, I get it. I totally get it. We're not doing that old thing anymore. We're doing this new thing. And that old thing you used to do is like on the back burner. You may not even think about it anymore. You may not do it anymore. Or maybe you do, but when you do, it's like, it doesn't bother you anymore. It's an old habit. And it just doesn't come back, You do the new thing, and that's what feels comfortable and familiar now. Is this all making sense, ladies? Can you give me a 2 that this made sense, or who needs clarity? Shanika, you say, is that the same like feeling out of the body? Or should I say feeling weird? You know what? I don't know when you wrote that. So I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. But Shanika, you're saying that all made sense. So let me know, Shanika, if you need any clarity or if I have to answer something different. Making progress, okay? If you don't give up, you will see more progress, right? You'll see it more and more. So 2 things are going to happen, right? You're going to get less of those thoughts, less of the feelings, right? So much less. You know what? I keep getting messages as someone's trying to send me a message. And I'm wondering if she can't get on, which would be sad because I'm right here in the group. If you go to the group, ladies, you can see me. Oh, okay. All right. She's watching something else. Okay. Anyway, okay, it was confusing me. Because I was getting messages at the same time as you're all sending messages, but this person's watching something else. So anyway, so you're going to get less of those anxious feelings and thoughts, right? You're going to see it less and less, and you're going to make more progress. Your brain is going to fight you. But if you know the brain is fighting you, you can just keep going with confidence that if I just keep going, I'm going to reap the reward. You know, like I'm going to see more of, you know, and be the person that I aspire to be. Something else is going to happen as well, okay? So, you're going to feel when you're looking, when your brain is fighting you, right? Your brain is fighting you. You're not fighting. The brain is fighting you. It's like resisting, okay? You're not resisting, because if you resist, you're just going to stay in the anxiety cycle. But your brain's going to resist, right? You're going to feel more of that emotion, which is why you're like, oh, I'm at the beginning, right? This didn't work. I'm at the beginning. I'm starting over. But talk like that is going to keep you in that anxiety cycle, right? So, but the thing is, when you finally start making change, the brain gets it first, right? The brain is the first thing to go, oh, I get it now. Okay, she's making change. The body, right, where you feel those symptoms, the feelings. Now, the body takes a little bit more time to catch up. So that's why some of you were like, I don't get it. I know what anxiety is. Like, I understand this is anxiety. I don't think I'm having a heart attack. I used to, but I don't think that anymore. And I don't understand why my heart is still racing like this. Like, why is it still doing that when I know that this is not threatening anymore? This is not challenging anymore. You have to understand you programmed your central nervous system. The brain is part of that central nervous system, but the brain is the first to catch on, right? I'm going to use an analogy. My husband is a big tea drinker, right? And when he has his tea, now it's full lead tea. He loves his caffeine. And when he wakes up in the morning, he's got to have tea, right? If he doesn't get his tea, he gets quite irritable. That I'm like, did you have your tea? I just know when he didn't have his tea. He needs to have tea. He's not a coffee drinker. I'm not a coffee drinker either. He's a big tea drinker. He needs caffeine. What happens to my husband is when he doesn't get his tea, he gets irritable, but he gets a headache and he cannot function. Like, he gets this headache and he's just like, oh my God. You know, it's like caffeine withdrawal, right? Does that make sense, ladies? Have you ever had like a withdrawal? You know, like even with medications, right? You're on a certain medication, you come off the medication and you get a withdrawal. That means the symptoms are heightened, right? You feel more of those symptoms, or the symptoms maybe not even more, but they're just heightened. Does that all make sense? Just put a yes if that makes sense to you, or if you experience that. So with that said, that's kind of what happens with anxiety as you are overcoming anxiety, right? Now, the central nervous system has to catch up. So you're doing something new, but your central nervous system hasn't like, thanks ladies, thanks for that. Thank you for answering me. Yeah, the central nervous system has not yet caught up to you feeling, let's say, more peaceful or more normal. It's still like ready to jump because it's hypervigilant, right? You programmed it to react. So now we have to wait for it to, oh, wait a minute. No, I don't have to be that way. I can just, that's why it's so important to use those tools sometimes. Like let's say breathing or meditation, right? Because it'll help you be calmer and relaxed. But the thing is, those tools, you have to be careful with tools. They work, okay? It's just that who you're being as you're using the tools. Because if you use these tools, right, and the word that comes to mind is aggressive, but what I mean is like you're hard on yourself. Like this has to work, and I want this tool to work so bad that you overuse it, or you're just hard on yourself because it didn't work the first time or whatever. And so the tool now, like, you become obsessed with the tool, or even if it did work, you're so obsessed with this tool that it's starting to go against you, because if it doesn't work exactly just right, the way you want it to work, in the time it should work, if it didn't do exactly what it should do at the time you want it to do, you start judging. You start judging yourself, you start judging the tool, and then that it could work against you. So everything in baby steps, gentle, one step at a time, right? And understand that it's like you coming off that high, right? You're trying to calm everything down. Your brain still might be fighting you a little, right? So those anxiety feelings are going to still feel like, that headache may become a little bit more intense. Your stomach pain might be a little bit more. You might still feel your heart coming out of your chest. But it's not that you went backwards, okay? It's not that, you're back at the beginning. This didn't work. Setbacks, so, we call them bump in the roads. We call them little hiccups, It's just that your body is adjusting, okay? Everything is coming new beliefs, new thoughts, new behaviors, new attitude you're forming, right? You're gaining confidence. You're becoming a better version of yourself, someone you never were before, someone the brain, the body never had to work with before, right? It's all coming together and it's all starting to align. But just think of it that but it has to, in order to align, there's got to be like an adjustment period, right? Is that all making sense, ladies? Can you give me a 3? If that just made sense, like you have to give yourself like an adjustment period. As you make these changes are hard, right? They're hard. And you're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep sabotaging yourself. Things are going to happen. But that does not mean you give up. That does not mean, that you're not being successful. Every Saturday I do that post of what went well this week. And, sometimes I get a lot of responses and sometimes I don't get many. But I thought I would get a lot more because of the fact, there's a lot of people in the group. Now, but I'm wondering how many of you are discounting your progress because you're like, well, the beginning of the week went well. Yeah, but then, then this happened, then that happened, and the rest of the week sucked. So I got nothing to report because everybody else is going to say how great they did. And I'm going to come on here and say, yeah, I had 1 or 2 great days, but the rest of it sucked. But ladies, any progress you make is progress. We're looking to make mindset changes, and change is only gonna happen if you understand this process and stay consistent. Okay. I'm just wondering if no, wrong thing. I'm just wondering if I answered, so basically what tells you that you overcame anxiety, ladies? Now, overcoming anxiety means you respond differently to the anxiety, to the stress. So overcoming anxiety is not just, oh, I don't have anxiety anymore, because I mean, not for anything. I overcame anxiety years ago. And I still consider myself somebody who's overcome anxiety. But when I lost my parents over the last couple of years, I had uneasiness in my body. I'm not gonna, I don't dare use the word anxiety because I don't ever want you to think I went back to who I was and how I was being. I had some uneasiness in my body, those anxiety feelings that make you feel like you want to jump out of your skin, just like uneasiness. I don't know how else to say it, but I think you understand, right? So, but because I know anxiety, I knew exactly how to respond to what I was feeling and who I was being. And that is where I want you to get to. And the way to get there is to really understand the mechanics of anxiety, how anxiety works. Because as you feel it, you can tell yourself, oh, well, of course I'm feeling this because this is happening. I'm supposed to feel this way, or well, I shouldn't use the word supposed to, but it's not uncommon that I'm going to feel this way because of what happened in my life or because of what I'm telling myself. That's why I'm feeling this way. And if I just do ABC, if I just talk to myself differently, if I just let go of this one thought, or if I just change this belief, or if I just, I can get past this. Nobody has to stay stuck. Anxiety is just your response to what it is you are experiencing in life. And you can change that response anytime you want. Overcoming anxiety is making a change of response. It's taking control, understanding the control that you have and taking that control, right? And remaining in control, not being afraid of anxiety and panic. Is it going to come back? Listen, anxiety, panic, they're not colds. It's not like, because I've heard some of you say things like, I'm going on a road trip and I haven't had anxiety in a while, but I'm wondering if the anxiety is going to come back if I go on this road trip. The answer to that is that's up to you. You see, nothing outside of you really is causing your anxiety. It is a response. It is how you're being and who you're being in every given moment. So if you don't want the panic attacks to come back, you ask yourself, well, what are panic attacks? Well, panic is fear. So panic attacks are not going to come back if you don't have all this fear. And if you're still fearing the panic attacks, chances are they could come back because you're still looking for them. And you're still wondering, well, if it happens, am I going to be able to cope? Am I going to be able to deal? So overcoming anxiety is like literally having surrender. It's knowing that you can be different. You can respond differently. You have that confidence. Okay? You are confident. If I feel anxiety, I feel anxiety. If I have Panic, I have panic. But you know what, ladies? My last panic attack was in 2006. And am I afraid of ever having another one? Am I afraid of it coming back? Well, no. You want to know why? I mean, they're scary as all hell. I mean, I don't ever want to feel that again. Okay? But am I scared to have it? Well, I don't think I ever will. Why? Because I know what it is. I know panic is fear. And if I don't want to have a panic attack, at the moment I feel fearful and I feel any panicky feelings, I just got to ask the right questions. What am I afraid of? And I have to know, well, of course my heart's coming out of my chest. I'm having a panic attack. That's common. But what am I fearing? Because that's what panic is. Same thing with anxiety. Don't be afraid of feeling those anxiety feelings. It's just anxiety. But if you still can't tell yourself it's just anxiety, you still don't believe it's anxiety, then you still have some exploring to do, okay? Because, I mean, some of you have an illness, right? Some of you or you're going through, let's say, perimenopause, menopause, or, you know, you have something going on where you have other issues, right? That's you feel other symptoms in your body and you just don't know the difference. Like, how do I know if this is me having an anxiety attack, or how do I know this is not my autoimmune, or this is not my, you know? And that could be tricky. I totally get that I did a life training all about that, about symptoms and how to understand symptoms. So when you have a symptom, okay, it does become tricky, okay? Because if you got other things going on, the thing is, the quick answer to that is diffuse the anxiety. Understand what anxiety is, diffuse the anxiety. If diffusing the anxiety does not work and does not make the symptom go away, then maybe that symptom is your sickness or your condition that you have, or maybe it is more hormonal, or maybe, you know, that's why understanding anxiety is so important. All right. Like a lot of people just think, you know, I know what anxiety is. It's an emotion, or I've had it for 20 years. I know exactly what anxiety is. And then when they get off the phone with me, they're like, I never knew anxiety was like that. We think we know what it is. Because, you know, the thing is, I know you might still have some ignorance about anxiety, because I really feel if you understood it, you really knew what you were dealing with, okay? You treated anxiety more as something that is trying to help you to be different, so that you make a change. And I know the brain's going to fight you because the brain doesn't want you to change. You know, that's why this becomes hard. So ladies, does all this make sense, okay? As to, you know, what progress means, what overcoming means, what to, you know, the difference between making progress and actually overcoming. And also, to overcome anxiety, okay? I mean, I've said it before, you need to make a mindset change, all right? You can't overcome anxiety with that same mindset that created it. So if you're holding on to beliefs like, this is too hard, or I can't do this, I don't have what it takes, right? That might keep you stuck where you are, all right? You need to form different beliefs, or It could be how you're talking to yourself, right? You could be waking up every morning telling you how this day sucks and how these feelings suck and I can't stand my life and when is this going to go away? And when, you could be sabotaging yourself through how you're talking to yourself, right? So take the time to change your attitude and to talk to yourself with more positivity, to overcome anxiety is also like lifestyle change, right? You want to overcome anxiety, optimize your sleep. What are you eating? What are you putting into your body? Are you not exercising? I mean, I can't see how anyone cannot exercise. Exercise is super important because anxiety is energy, ladies. I mean, I know I keep like changing the meaning on you, but it's all of that. It's an emotion, it's a response, but it's energy, right? You can change your energy at any time. So as these chemicals are going through your body, right? You can take charge by getting out of bed or getting off the couch or, going for a walk or doing some kind of movement to change the chemicals. So between exercise and how you talk to yourself, you can change the chemicals in your body and better support yourself. All these things are really going to help you take more steps towards finally overcoming anxiety. And don't forget getting support. Some of you have great support, and some of you feel like you have absolutely no support whatsoever. Nobody understands you. Or maybe it's just, you're living with a bunch of people who are judging you, telling you to just get over it, that it's all in your head. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know, just in case you didn't know, I did a whole video recently for you to give your loved ones so that they can understand what it is you're going through and how to best support you in this time of your life. So if you have one of those relatives that aren't being supportive, you may want to check that out. It's not on YouTube. You're going to have to ask me for the link. So if you don't know it, ask me for the link and I will send it to you. Maybe one of these days I'll put it on YouTube. But everything that I kind of talked about, I talked about setbacks and mindset change, changing your beliefs, changing your attitude, your way of thinking. All these things I'm talking about, I did separate live trainings for them. So if you want more information about like how to, go seek out those live trainings for more on how to do this. But in the meantime, does anybody have any questions whatsoever about anything that I said? Do you need any clarity about anything that I talked about? Do you understand now why overcoming anxiety is not having anxiety? It's because anxiety is an emotion and no one can tell you you'll never have anxiety, right? You just have to understand not just how to deal with it, but how the mind and body works so that when you do get an emotion like anxiety, you know what to do with it. You know how to be and who to be in that moment. So any questions whatsoever? Anybody have anything to say about anything that I said? And if you came on late, you came on late, rewatch the replay, which will be available and as soon as I get off, it will become available. And ladies, when you make progress, please celebrate it. please celebrate it. Recognize that progress. Celebrate that progress. Keep going, keep being, keep doing. And if you're not sure you're making progress, message me. This is what happened. Was that progress? And I'll let you know. It's as simple as that. But don't discount if you see a change, okay? Anybody have questions at all? I'm not seeing any questions. Everybody's good, huh? I'm glad. If you understand this, I'm glad you do. And just keep practicing. You are what you practice. You'll get really good at it. So keep going. Keep making changes. Don't ever give up. And if you need support, reach out to me anytime. I am here to support you in any way. I've always got people messaging me and I always answer back. The only thing is that, of course, if we work together, I will always be there, always available. All good, I understand what you said. Great, Abby. I'm so glad for that. But, if we work together, it's just that I can, help you in a way that I can't if I'm not working with you. In other words, I can be more for support, give you more accountability, and, I'm there to see what it is you're doing, monitoring your steps. What are you doing? What are you not doing? And give you more guidance on what to do and how to do it. So, and if you're interested in working with me, message me anytime and, let's get started. I got 3 programs that suit different types of needs. And ladies, there's something about me you don't know. I don't make anything off your money. The programs, yes, I charge. But I've been a coach for 5 years and I have yet to profit from anyone who's ever given me money. In other words, I take my money and I put it right back into doing this. So basically, what I do is I use the money to develop more programs or to help another mom. So everything you do is helping somebody else. And if you refer somebody to me and they hire me, I will coach you for free. Just because you said, you gave me that recommendation. So I'm always trying to help out, right? I'm not here just to make a pretty penny, that's not who I'm about. I do have to charge because Facebook, this costs me money, being on YouTube and all that, all these things kind of cost money. And so I have to pay for the overhead. But I don't see any of that money. It goes right back into the business, meaning I'm helping people constantly in any way that they need it. All right? So with that said, don't think, she's only just trying to get business. No, because then I would be taking that money and spending it on myself, and I'm not doing that. That money's going right back here into my programs, into being here on Facebook so that I could help you. All right, be well, take care. If you develop any other questions, please get back to me. Put it in the comments, message me, text me, whatever you need to do, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, all right? Be well, take care, and I'll see you next week, all right? Bye.